Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to my Origin-SMP series where I play an Origin you suggest for a whole day. Today, I play the Enderians, but before we get into everything, I have a few things I need to say first. If you want to join the server that I play the Origin-SMP on, join my Discord in the description and apply to join the server. I'm also getting loads of comments suggesting Origins that I've already played, so if you're new and this is the first video you're watching, please take a look at the videos I've made before suggesting one. The playlist link for all the videos will be in the description, and there will also be cards on screen, so make sure to check them all out. If you didn't know, the races I play in this series are based off what you guys want in the comments. If there's a race you'd like to see, make sure to let me know. If you're a subscriber to this channel, you already know this, but chances are you're probably not. That being said, it's likely you're unfamiliar with what mod pack I'm playing. I'm playing with the Origin-SMP mod pack from the CurseForge launcher. This mod pack has many exciting races to explore, along with 14 different classes to choose from that can benefit your race in entirely different ways. If you have no idea what I just said and you don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to check out my other tier list videos on this mod pack. Links will be in the description, and there should also be cards on screen throughout the video. In this series, I don't plan on beating the game. I just want to take my time and learn about the race in my own single player world. I played the Enderians for a day, and this is what I learned. I'm going to approach this video in a slightly different way than I normally do. I'm going to actually tackle the abilities one by one and then let you know any tips or tricks I found out about them. Let me know if you like this more organized style or if you just prefer me spewing out tips and tricks on just everything about every race. So to get started, the first ability of the Enderians is Teleportation. This is probably their most important ability, and it lets you throw out an Ender Pearl, which deals no damage to you, and allows you to teleport to the location it lands at. It's basically you get to throw an Ender Pearl with no damage. That is the short and sweet description of what it is. You can activate this ability by pressing the G key on your keyboard or whatever you bound the primary ability button to. The teleportation ability is an amazing way to travel any terrain in an incredibly quick amount of time. The cooldown is actually pretty short for this ability. You have time to throw 2 Ender Pearls before your first one lands most of the time. As I'm sure you can assume, if you throw 2 pearls before your first one lands, you'll teleport to the first one, and then you'll teleport to the second one. It's just how a normal Ender Pearl would operate. Speaking of normal Ender Pearls, they still hurt. I don't know why you would ever use normal Ender Pearls over the Enderian's actual ability, but maybe there's a situation where that's a good idea. Regardless, you still take regular damage from throwing Ender Pearls from your inventory just like anyone else would. Another tip is you can see in the clip I'm showing, you will not take damage if there are 2 open spaces above your head. So just a general rule of thumb, if you're throwing an Ender Pearl at a wall, make sure there's 2 blocks so you don't take damage, and if you do take damage, you stumble back a little bit so you can end up falling off edges and you can fall off cliffs and stuff like that, so just be careful. If you have somewhat normal human reflexes, you basically should never take fall damage. As you know, the Ender Pearl you throw out with your active ability deals no damage, so you can fall from a really high height, and if you throw it at the last second at the ground, you don't take any damage. I don't know if you've ever played the Just Cause games, but you can basically free fall and then grapple to the ground at the last second and not take any fall damage. Even though it defies all laws of physics, it's still pretty fun to do. Okay, here's something I figured out. So if you're an inchling, you might want to pay attention to this. The Enderians can shoot their pearls into a 1-block space and crawl around. However, they can't fit in half a block area, so like slabs and stuff like that, like the inchlings can. So if you're an inchling, make sure your home is small enough that an Enderian can't just pearl inside and crawl around and take all your loot. Okay, the last useful tip I found with the teleportation ability for the Enderians is you can travel the Nether and the End really easily. As I mentioned previously, the Enderians are kind of the king of traveling almost any terrain imaginable. Obviously, that doesn't include underwater, for obvious reasons. If you go to the end, once you get on top of one of the pillars, you can just pearl around to each one, and it makes it pretty light work to take out all of the towers. Alright, that's everything for the teleportation ability. Let's move on to their next ability called Hydrophobia. This is a negative passive for the Enderians where they receive damage over time while they're in contact with water. Something I figured out in my playtime just trying out all these Origins is Blazeborns have the same passive, Hydrophobia, but they take extra damage from snowballs and water bottles, whereas the Enderians do not. I would assume it's because the Blazeborns are made of fire and it's like a hidden passive, but as the Enderian, the only thing you have to watch out for are regular water and rain. So the hydrophobia for the Enderian is not as bad as the hydrophobia for the Blazeborns. So if you're an Enderian, settling in the tundra is pretty great, because all the water is going to be frozen over, and when it rains, it actually snows, which doesn't hurt the Enderians either. Okay, moving on to the next Enderian passive, and this is another downside for the Enderian, and it's called Scared of Gourds. Or is it Gourds? I don't know. This passive is basically when another player puts a pumpkin on their head, you cannot see them. This effect strangely works with yourself. So as you can see in the background, if you put a pumpkin on your own head, you also can't see yourself. Now, a lot of people have told me on my tier list video that the Scared of Gourd passive, I guess that's what it's called, the negative effect that I'm talking about right now, can be bypassed if you enable hitboxes, which you could do by pressing F3 and B at the same time. So even though they're invisible, their hitbox still jumps around on screen and you could hit them no problem. Now, on my mod pack, which is a newer version of the mod, it's been updated a few days ago, this seems to have been patched. If you are wearing a pumpkin, you are completely and utterly invisible to the Enderians. So I would assume if you're playing on an older version of the mod, of the Origins mod, this may not be patched and this may still be like exploitable. So I guess make sure to test that out before you start playing the Enderian, but on the newer versions of the mod, it looks like it's been fixed. The last ability we're going to talk about for the Enderians is Slender Body. Slender Body lets the Enderians reach blocks and entities further away, and those are two different things, mind you. Blocks are different than entities. Entities, and for this example, we're going to say like PvP or like a mob, like you're trying to hit a creeper or a zombie. Blocks are obviously blocks. I don't have to explain to you what that is. So for the blocks, I did some testing with the regular human, and these are the numbers I found. So the regular human, or basically any other race without the Slender Body passive, which is pretty much all of them, they can reach 4 blocks in front of them, and that could be breaking, building, or just interacting with a block in front of them. Enderians, on the other hand, can reach 6. When it comes to hitting entities, so for this example I used a creeper, humans, along with most races, can hit enemies 3 blocks in front of them. Roughly 3 blocks, because they can be on the front side of the block closer to you, and the far side, there's a bunch of like tiny variables, but roughly most races can hit enemies 3 blocks in front of them. Enderians, on the other hand, can hit 5. So from the footage I collected, it seems the Enderians have +2 reach in their respective interactions compared to anything without the Slender Body passive. So if you have the Origin classes add-on in your mod pack or your playthrough, picking the warrior class is an amazing choice for the Enderians just because of the extra reach. You'll be able to hit enemies before they can even get in range of hitting you in melee combat. In multiplayer or single player, this change is pretty powerful. I played the Enderians for a day, and that is what I learned. Did I miss anything? Be sure to comment down below if I missed any tips or tricks with the Enderians that you may have found. I hope you learned at least one thing from this video, and if you did, it would mean a lot if you hit that like button. Is there a specific race you'd like to see me try out next? Comment down below, and if I make a video on your suggestion, your comment will be featured in the start of the video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.